Welcome to Pankinen Financial Perspective with Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. Planning for your financial future means navigating challenges like market volatility, inflation, and retirement income. Pankinen Financial Perspective is here to help by addressing common financial concerns, sharing valuable strategies, and exploring ways you can work toward your financial goals. Now let's get started with Pankinen Financial Perspective.
Hello and welcome to the Pankinen Financial Perspective. My name is Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 952-873-2703 or visit us online at pankinenfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com. And while at my website, click on the radio page to check out past shows and to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Also, while at my page, click the link at the top to get the latest retirement guide and sign up for our newsletter. You've probably heard the tales of people who were born into wealth or lucked out into a big windfall. But here's the truth. Many of today's wealthy retirees didn't start that way. They began with modest savings and built real wealth through consistent, strategic money habits. Thankfully, you don't need deep pockets to borrow their playbook. Whether you're starting with 1,000 or 100,000, these 13 habits can help you chart the path toward a long, happy retirement. Today, we'll break down each one with practical examples that you can actually use. But first, let me welcome my co-host, Tony Shore, who is officially trading in his summer sun for pumpkin spice everything.
Pumpkin spice. I don't think so. Oh my goodness. You know, it's crazy you brought that up though today, Ashton, because it's crazy. This year, it's gotten worse this year, I think. I mean, you're in the they have pumpkin spice deodorant. You don't want to smell like pumpkin spice. I kid, but it's gotten out of hand, right? Yeah. I expect to go into like the oil change place and they say, would you like, synthetic, standard, or pumpkin spice oil for your car? Your car, the exhaust will smell like pumpkin spice. It's just, it's out of hand. I enjoy a pumpkin spice latte at Starbucks as much as the next person. Once in a while, I used to when they first came out. You had to try it, but I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over everything pumpkin spice. But some people still love it.
Yeah, we celebrated 10 years on Friday, wedding anniversary. My wife and I.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I forgot about that. I would have got you a card or.
But anyways, I stopped at Caribou to surprise her with a coffee that morning, and I got her normal one, but there was also pumpkin spice latte on the menu, and so I didn't know if that's what she wanted or not, but I just kept it safe and stuck with her simple one. But yeah.
You kept it safe. That's you, the safe money guy.
Yeah,
keep it safe with the drinks. Don't want to take the extra risk, right? Mm-hmm. That's probably a wise idea. I love it. 10 years of marriage, 5 years of marital bliss.
Yeah. I said 9.5 years of marital bliss.
That's what my dad always said at his 50th wedding anniversary. They asked my mom, how do you do it 50 years? And she said he was gone a lot. And then my dad said 50 years of marriage, 10 years of marital bliss. That's what he said. They like to give each other. Now they've been married 62 years.
Oh my goodness. That's great.
Yeah. My wife and I are at 32. So you got a little ways to catch up.
I've got some catching up to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you will. You'll get there. So today's show sounds like an interesting one because, learning from people who built their wealth strategy and discipline can really help us to create and protect our own financial situation and our retirement funds. A lot of people think, they won the lottery or inherited it, but the majority of people who are wealthy worked hard for it, didn't they?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, again, it's very rare that you have it from, the winning the lottery. Well, what'd they say? 1 in 23 million, I think, is the odds of winning the Powerball.
Yeah.
So most of it is, just by saving and accumulating that wealth yourself.
Yeah, that's true. So where do you want to begin? What are we talking about here today?
Yeah, let's start off with the first habit here, common traits. First and foremost, the wealthy pay themselves first and usually make it automatic. So instead of saving whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month, they decide up front that a piece of every paycheck is going to go straight into their future.
Well, so it's kind of like treating savings as a bill you can't skip. You got to pay yourself. And people ask, Ashton, what does that mean? You hear that from financial advisors, always pay yourself first. My grandpa always used to say that. What does that mean? Well, that means before it ever hits your checking account, or as I call it, the general fund, where it's going to disappear and get spent, have it taken right out of your check and put into your 401k or an IRA, right? That's what you're talking about. So you're paying yourself for the future.
Yeah, exactly. It's paying your future self. A lot of retirees I've worked with set up that auto transfer often to 10, 15, 20% into a retirement account like a 401k or IRA, Roth IRA. And some that are saving even more maybe hit those limits and they're actually doing it into a non-qualified account. And studies back this up that people who automate their savings end up with much bigger balances than those who don't.
Right. And that makes sense because if it's automatic, you never miss it, right? I mean, if you've never had it, you're never going to miss it. People say, I don't have enough money to save. I guarantee you, even if you start with a small amount, if it never hits your checking account, you'll learn to live without it and you'll find a way and you'll be able to save for the future, which is critical. And that's what wealthy people have done, right?
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. Your wealth grows in the background while you're busy living life.
Okay.
And so that's a big habit you want to make sure. The next habit you want to do is keeping your money working instead of letting it sit idle. Wealthy retirees don't want to let that cash pile up into accounts that earn little or no interest. They make sure every dollar has a job, whether it's in a stock, an ETF, or just a high yield savings account.
Yeah.
You've worked hard for your money, and we want to make sure your money keeps working hard for you.
Right. I mean, even something simple like a smaller account or a lower interest bearing account, it can make all the difference if you pick the right one. Again, you don't want to have the majority of your money in low interest accounts, but you want to make sure all of your money is earning something, right?
Yeah. And right now, maybe high yield savings accounts are paying that 3-4, some even 5%. And so you compare that to leaving cash into a traditional checking account that's probably earning you close to zero, maybe that 0.01% interest. And with inflation, that silent killer that we talk about often running at 2 to 3%, 2.35, according to this article, that money just sits in those low interest accounts and actually can lose value over time.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Interest is the silent killer. And if you're not making more, or inflation, I should say, I'm sorry. Yeah. Inflation is the silent killer. And if you're not making more interest than that, you're losing money.
Yes. Yeah. And so another piece that we look at, Tony, is living below their means. And I don't just mean clipping coupons. It's a mindset.
Wait, we can't live. We have to, we can't spend more than we make.
No. Well, that's not the ideal formula for building wealth there. Yeah. So, you often see money not as something to spend, but something to invest. And so that's a big shift in mindset versus how many people think about money.
Yeah, that is because a lot of people, I think, assume that once you have money, you just spend freely, right?
Yeah, but in reality, many wealthy people avoid that lifestyle creep.
Yep.
They spend less than they earn. They set aside the difference. Keep accumulation on track. You want to continue to accumulate those assets. And research backs this up as well. It found that retirees who were overspent early often ran into trouble later in their retirement years. And so again, this is important to keep that spending in check and keep saving for retirement.
So even at higher income levels, it really comes down to discipline, right? Like living on, say, 70 or 80% of what you bring in and saving the rest. That is critical. What's another big difference between people who build wealth and those who struggle a bit?
Yeah, the people that are building wealth, Tony, they steer clear of costly debt especially high interest debt like credit cards. Right now, average credit cards are more than 22%, according to the article that we're looking at here. And if you make only minimum payments, interest charges eat away at your money and can trap you in the cycle that's really tough to escape.
Yeah, and that kind of debt can feel like quicksand. The harder you struggle, the deeper you sink, right?
Yeah, you nailed it, Tony. The research is eye-opening. The article points to a survey that found that 72% of older Americans carry debt, and more than half say they feel overwhelmed by it. So the wealthy approach is simple. Pay off those high-interest balances quickly. Some even use strategies like the debt avalanche, because tackling the highest interest rates first so you can save more in the long run. And here's kind of how the debt avalanche works, Tony. There's 4 steps to it. One, you want to list all your debts along with their balances, minimum payments, and interest rates, and then make minimum payments on all debts to stay current. And then step 3 is to focus extra payments on the debt with the highest interest rate first, regardless of the balance, because that's going to save you the most money on the interest there. And then number 4 is once that debt is paid off, roll those payments to the next high interest rate debt, and then repeat this process until all the debts are gone.
Yeah. So how can a financial professional like yourself help someone to develop these habits?
Yeah, it's important. You can sit down with a financial professional. We can turn these habits into a personalized plan, from setting up automatic savings to creating strategies to paying off debt. We provide guidance, accountability, and expertise. And our job is to help you stay disciplined, avoid mistakes, and make steady progress towards those retirement goals.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Now, Ashton, how can our listeners out there get a hold of you to set up that no charge, no obligation consultation?
Yeah, the best way, Tony, is to give our office a call, 952-873-2703. Again, that number is 952-873-2703. Or you can visit us on our website at pankoninfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com. Visit some past shows to continue to learn on different financial strategies, or check out our website and call our office to book an appointment.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, and you've been talking about some of these common habits that people who have been able to methodically build up a sizable amount of assets tend to share. They all share these common habits. We've been going over some of them. Pay yourself first, pay down high interest debt, or avoid high interest debt altogether. What do you have for us next?
Yeah, again, we've been referencing this Kiplinger article, and it notes that people who have achieved financial success also aggressively plan for their financial futures. So you want to make sure you sit down with somebody, create a roadmap for retirement that includes saving goals, expected living expenses, investment strategies, while also planning for unexpected costs like medical bills or long-term care. So it comes down to having clear savings goals, estimating living expenses, and choosing an investment strategy that fits.
Yeah.
But it also means, Tony, that you want to plan for those financial surprises that can derail even the best investment strategies.
Right. A few things are more powerful than financial discipline. And we all cringe because, it's human nature. Discipline is hard in these areas for a lot of us. So, but you do need financial discipline, and that's where you come in. That's one thing you do to help folks.
Yeah. And Tony, the numbers prove it as well. There was a survey done referenced in this article that reveals that disciplined spenders end up with about twice as much saved, but those who actually plan ahead and can save even more. In fact, the planners typically retire with about 2.2 times more savings than those who don't have a strategy at all.
Yeah. Wow. So just having that roadmap or blueprint in place can give you a huge advantage when it comes to building a more solid and secure retirement or financial well-being for yourself. Now, what about after you've built that retirement roadmap? Do most people just set it and forget it? How does that work, especially those who are successful?
Yeah, and those successful or the wealthy ones, it's another common habit is to meet regularly with your financial advisor. Again, those checkups can help refine the strategy, optimize investments, and catch blind spots you might miss on your own. Again, it's an evolving strategy too. Sometimes goals change, and so it's important to sit down with an advisor on a regular basis to review these.
Yeah, another common thread is most people who are wealthy and stay that way have a team set up. They have a financial advisor like yourself, kind of like getting a second set of eyes on your strategy.
Yep, and that pays off literally. Again, the article cited they found retirees who regularly meet with their advisor on average have 15% more in savings than those who don't.
Yeah,
and that guidance and accountability can make a measurable difference in your retirement.
And I think I got it. What you're saying is building wealth isn't just about having a strategy. It's also about keeping that strategy fresh with the help of someone like yourself. But here's something I'm curious about, Ashton. Do wealthier retirees actually live on a budget? Or is that just advice for the rest of us?
No, they absolutely do, Tony. Sticking to a spending plan is one of the keys to making retirement funds last. A budget helps control expenses and make sure savings don't run out too soon. When I sit down with clients and we talk about retirement, we want to make sure we understand our budget and our expenses that we have anticipated for retirement.
Sure. And I know everybody's situation is different, but what kind of budgets are we talking about generally here?
Yeah, one of the, kind of the easier budgets to talk about is some follow a 50-30-20 rule, which is 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings or debt. And then other prefer that 60-30-10 once they're retired. Income is more fixed. They're probably not saving as much and they don't have any debt left, hopefully. And so again, the point is it's not an exact formula, Tony. It's about having structure that matches your lifestyle and your goals.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and as you mentioned earlier, values play a role too then, right?
Yeah, exactly. Wealthy retirees don't just budget for numbers. They budget for what matters most to them. For some people, it's travel. For others, it's giving to charity or spending time with family and friends. And once you have the essentials and saving goals covered, it's important to embrace guilt-free spending that brings you joy. Because that's one of the things that we've talked about in past shows too, is it's hard to turn on that spending. But if we budget for it, we can have that guilt-free spending in retirement.
Yeah, I like that. It's not all about pinching pennies. It's about making sure that your money is going to support the lifestyle that you want. So next, let's talk about timing. I imagine there's got to be a common thread amongst wealthier people when it comes to when they start investing.
Definitely. Wealthy retirees almost always invest early and often. The earlier you start, say in your 20s or 30s, the more time your money has to grow and compound interest. And it's not about timing an investment, it's about time in an investment. And so again, the longer you're invested, the more that compound interest, and less about how much you put in and how long it has to work. And so again, compound interest is that eighth wonder of the world that the earlier you start, the better off you are.
I love it. Well, can you give us an example of how that plays out?
Yeah, great idea. So, if someone invests $5,000 at 25 years old and it grows at 7% annually, by the age of 65, it could be worth around 70,000. And that's just the power of time. It's, it can sound like a large amount, but if you're doing it on a systematic basis, even those modest contributions can snowball if you start early and keep adding as your income grows.
Yeah. And that means it's not just about investing big amounts. It's about investing consistently and letting time do the heavy lifting, like dollar cost averaging your way into the market, giving some each paycheck, and that'll help it grow even more. And here's something I've heard before. The wealthy think differently about what they own. Is this true? And what does that mean?
No, it's very true, Tony. Wealthier retirees tend to prioritize assets over liabilities. The number of people that tell me, "Oh, I'm going to invest in this boat," that's not really investing.
No, boats and cars aren't investing, are they?
No, it is a purchase, but it's not investments. And so, it's important to invest in assets like stocks, real estate, or rental properties that can generate income or can increase in value. And liabilities, on the other hand, like car loans, heavy mortgages, tend to drain those resources. So the simple distinction makes a big difference over time.
So in other words, they're constantly adding things that work for them instead of things that work against them, making their money work for them.
Yeah, exactly. And the article explains, that many wealthy retirees should hold 70% or more of their net worth in assets. Again, not liabilities, assets. And they're also not afraid to simplify. So if a vehicle is sitting there unused or a property no longer makes sense to own, they sell it and then they get that money working hard for them. And it's not about selling that memory. It's about freeing up resources, reducing stress, and keeping life simpler.
Yeah. 3 great tips. Free up your resources, reduce your stress, and simplify things. That really registers with me. Focusing on what's going to build your future and letting go of what's going to hold you back. Right.
Yeah, I'm glad that resonates with you. Again, building wealth isn't just about the numbers. It's about choices. And you want to focus on assets that support your goals, that you create both financial growth and confidence in your retirement.
Yeah, I think this is hugely important, and you shouldn't go it alone. You need to be working with a trusted financial services professional who's a fiduciary, who's going to look out for your best interests. And that's where you come in, Ashton. Let our listeners know again how they can get a hold of you, because if they have questions or want to get a second opinion on their plan, or maybe they don't have a financial and retirement income plan in place yet, and they need to get one in place.
Yeah, give our office a call, 952-873-2703. Again, that's 952-873-2703. Or visit our website, pankoninfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com.
All right. Well, it's been a great show so far, and you've been talking about some of the common traits among those who have been able to accumulate the kind of assets that make it more likely they'll be able to maintain their ideal lifestyle throughout their life and during retirement. So what's next? What's another habit we should look for here?
Yeah, one big habit, Tony, is using passive income. That means creating money streams that don't require constant effort, like dividends from stocks, maybe some rental properties, or interest from bonds and savings accounts. So it's money that's working for you instead of the other way around. And we've mentioned this before, Tony, you've worked hard for your money all these years. We want to make sure your money is working hard for you.
Exactly. And this is how they keep their wealth growing even when they're not on the clock, right?
Yeah, that's right. IRS data has shown that the average millionaire has around 7 income streams.
Wow.
And that includes dividend income, rental properties, capital gains from interest, and even lending activity, meaning, personal loans, those types of things. And the key is diversity and building multiple pipelines of income.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you think of someone like Amazon's Jeff Bezos, his actual salary is tiny compared to his net worth. It's the assets, not the paycheck, that make the difference with guys like him and, Bezos and Elon and all these guys, these billionaires, right?
Yeah, that's a great example, Tony. His Amazon shares are what created his real wealth. For everyday investors, it doesn't have to be billions. It's just about setting up even 1 or 2 income streams that can create financial freedom over time. And that could be a dividend paying stock or mutual fund.
Yeah. And that's encouraging because it means just about anybody can start building passive income on a smaller scale. You can start on a smaller scale. Here's another question for you, though. Do wealthier people usually know more about money, or do they hire experts like yourself to do everything for them?
Yeah. And again, they do usually know more. but it's because they've been working with a trusted advisor and learning as they go along. And so that's the big difference, that wealthier people tend to build the financial knowledge over time. You don't just all of a sudden flip a switch and you have all the financial knowledge you need.
Right.
So you got to understand how the investments work, taxes, and retirement accounts that can reduce the chances of making costly mistakes. And that's where it's important to sit down with an advisor. When I sit down with somebody, I said, you don't have to understand it to the point that I understand it, but I hope every time we meet, you learn a little bit more about it.
Well, yeah, and that makes sense because you don't need to be an expert yourself, but the more you understand, the better decisions you make. And that's why working with a good, trusted financial professional who's going to help educate you is huge. And I know this is part of your strategy where working closely with your clients is so beneficial to them, right?
Yeah. And again, Tony, knowledge gaps are real. There's an article CNBC had, half of Americans don't even know what their 401k is invested in.
Right.
And that lack of awareness can really limit your retirement potential. And the other part of that is that's often one of their largest assets, especially outside of their home.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, one powerful habit, I guess, would simply be to pay attention and take the time to learn these things. Ask your financial professional, meet with Ashton. That way you can take more control over your own financial future. It makes sense. So
yeah,
you've given us a lot to think about. Give us a summary before we close out the show today.
Yeah. So we've talked about 13 habits that anyone could put into practice, not just the wealthy. Start by paying yourself first. Keep your money moving. Live below your means. Avoid that costly debt. Create a retirement roadmap and regularly meet with a financial professional to review those. Stick with a budget. Invest early and often. Focus on assets over liabilities. You want to make sure you build passive income streams, grow your financial knowledge, and review your strategy often. Yes. Finally, make sure you take educated risks with diversification as your guide. These options may sound difficult or may sound simple, but together they build real momentum towards retirement.
There you go. Well, hey, how can our listeners out there one more time set up that no charge, no obligation consultation?
Yeah, best way is give our office a call at 952-873-2703. Again, that's 952-873-2703, or visit us at pankoninfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com.
All right, and that does it for today's episode of the Pankonin Financial Perspective with our host, Ashton Pankonin.
Thank you for joining us for Pankonin Financial Perspective. Don't head into retirement without a plan for both your finances and your health. For more information, contact Ashton Pankonin at Pankonin Financial Group at 952-873-2703 or visit pankoninfinancialgroup.com. Join us again soon for another episode of Pankonin Financial Perspective. Advisory services are offered by Ashton Pankonin LLC DBA Pankonin Financial Group, an investment advisor in the state of Minnesota.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.